Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new iPhone 17 and I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the lowest end version of the brand new iPhones. So, like I mentioned, this is the lowest end version that they released so far, but it's still pretty decent as a hardware spec. It's just, they have the Air, also Pro, Pro Max, and primarily the differences are in cameras and sizes of the devices. Other than that, internally, they're about the same, all running the same A19 Apple chipset, which is pretty fast. Now this is the, what are they calling it? Apart from being just a green color, what the name of it is? Where's that info? Sage? I think that's the name of the color here. Now anyway, apart from the device, we also have our Type-C to Type-C cable, and it is braided. That's pretty nice. Below that we have paperwork, and that's about it. So taking a look at the device, let's peel that off. Split up. Now this is the 6.3 inch device, so it is very compact. It feels pretty nice in the hand. Now the display right here, like I said, 6.3 with a resolution of 1206 by 2612 pixels. It is LTPO Super Retina XDR OLED display. So basically an OLED display with LTPO tech, meaning that the screen can drop the refresh rate down to like 1 Hertz to preserve battery life. So that's decent. Now, it boasts a peak brightness of 3000 nits, comes with a 90.1% screen to body ratio and pixel density of 460 pixels per inch, covered with a ceramic Shield 2 Match Level 5 glass. And that's really all there is to the display. Oh, and that's pretty nice. They're using the gyroscope to kind of move the wallpaper. Anyway, display right here is actually for the lowest end iPhone at the release. Finally, something that you'd suspect of a flagship device to have, which is a OLED display, high refresh rate. They didn't mention it's running 120 Hz refresh rate. Now, unfortunately, Apple decided to skimp out on the certification, so no Dolby Vision, apparently certification, and also HDR10 and not 10 Plus. Again, skimping out on just certification, even though this display is well and capable of basically achieving that no problem. Now, if we flip it over, we have dual camera setup at the back, and the main sensor is a, I can actually find it. Okay, so the two main sensors, because they're basically the same, we have 48 megapixel 1.6 aperture 26mm wide lens and 2.2 aperture 13mm 120 degree ultra wide lens. So both of them 48 megapixels, and with that you can record videos up to 4K at 60 frames, unfortunately no 8K, and 1080p also gets you 60 along with slow motion up to 240. With Dolby Vision HDR, there is support for it, I guess, and up to 60 frames with this. Additionally, at the front we have a selfie right here, and that is an 18 megapixel multi-aspect 1.9 aperture wide sensor that allows you to capture videos up to also 4K at 60, and 1080p gets you same thing, 60 with slow motion only to 120 instead of the 240. And we also have the biometrics sensor right here for the 3D like face scanning. So we can see it right now trying to scan my face, even though it's not even set up. Thanks, Apple. That's completely not creepy. I also want to point out that this flashing light that you see only just is visible in the camera. It is infrared, so human eye can't actually see this light. So don't worry, it's not something that you're going to see in person. It's just the camera that is picking it up. Now, with that in mind, we can now move over to the internals, and it's a relatively small device, and it comes with a 3000 692 milliampere hour battery. That is a bit underwhelming. Now, normally devices at this size, even with normal batteries like this one, would be getting somewhere around more like 4,000 milliamps. So, like, I'm not sure what they're doing here. I want to quickly check something, as if that. Bear with me. There it is. Wow. Okay, so here's my phone. S25, the bare lowest end one. Again, basically the crappiest of the Samsung devices that I offer. And I want to point out, it's thinner. The looks of it, right? Let me just quickly get it side by side. Trying to figure out how I want to compare them. Yep, it is thinner. Barely, but you can feel a little bit of a difference. So it is thinner. It basically has triple camera setup instead of dual. By the way, no matter what Apple says, this is a dual camera setup. No bullshitting around it will change that. There's two cameras, and I don't care if you use ultra wide as a macro or whatever the hell you want to use it for, it's still a single effing camera. You can clearly see there is one camera. There is no anything around it. We're not living in quantum realm where 1 is equal to 2. So yeah, or some quantum fluctuation state. So anyway, with that in mind, the reason I brought up my device is because this, even though it's smaller, because the size is 6.2 inches display instead of the 6.3, so this is as 0.1 inches bigger display, and is thicker, and yet it has 308 milliamp hour lesser battery, smaller one. So what is Apple doing right here to give you a smaller battery in a bigger device? Geez, this ain't a groundbreaking little thing right here. This is already a shit battery right here, and this has even worse one. Awesome. Now, if there was a benchmark for who can pop in the lowest battery size, I guess, in their devices, Apple has just won. But it's not something that you'd want to win, I would say. Now, in truth, even though the battery here is low, Apple has been always pretty good at doing some aggressive power management to basically make this battery last way longer than it should. So I want to put that out there, make it clear. But now imagine that they did that with a normal sized battery, or hell, if they put a silicon carbon one, which would basically mean that this device would have something like 5,500 milliamps. At that point, we are looking at a device that can last significantly longer, while maintaining still the same optimizations for the battery that they do with the shit size that they have right here. So I just wanted to point that out for some people that want to defend Apple has a good battery life because of optimizations and stuff like that. Yes, they might, but imagine how good of a battery life they could if they decided not to completely fleece you out of your money and actually put a battery type right now that is being used in Chinese devices that is better than what we have right here, allows for a much higher capacity, and would still be optimized, meaning you could get significantly better battery life. At that point, this would be kind of a fantastic device, all in all. Now, apart from that, let's move over to the internals right here. Furthermore, so the battery that is in here has the power delivery 3.2 and has 25 watts of wireless charging to the MagSafe, and obviously can be charged through USB-C that is at the bottom. Now, another thing that I want to point out, this one right here, can see we have a SIM tray. Now, if you're in US, you won't see this here, because US, as far as I'm aware, releases older iPhones without the tray anymore. so you will need to use eSIM. The European versions of these devices still come with a SIM tray, so that's pretty nice, as I can just pop in a card easily in here. But anyone else in the US, you just have to have the eSIM. Not sure why. It's not like they're gonna substitute that space with bigger battery or any kind of other decent things. So other than that, we have 8 gigabytes of RAM, the Apple A19 chipset, and 256 or half a terabyte of storage with obviously no expandable storage. Apple is giving you purposefully like smaller sizes right here for like 256 as an entry right here, and charging egregious amounts for bigger storage just so they can push their cloud storage. So, you know, they're basically forcing you into subscription if you need more than 256 gigs of storage, and capturing videos at 4K at 60 frames, you sure as shit will need more storage. So, other than that, let's talk about the build. So we have obviously glass front, ceramic shield too, aluminum frame, and also glass back. This is a frosted glass too, so it actually feels kind of, well, not super slippery, so you shouldn't need to worry about that too much. The logo is glassy though, as you can see how it reflects it. And same thing goes, the green around the cameras right here is also glassy. And it's using liquid ass, obviously, which you can see, glass, and running the newest iOS, which is the liquid ass one. Awesome. And yeah, that's about it. So one last thing to mention is the price tag, and this device comes at about $799 US dollars. So it is on a, I guess, affordable side for what they actually offer, especially now that Apple decided to give us everything that we expect. A no notch. We do have the dynamic island. Technically they could have gotten rid of this already and substituted with something better, but I guess Apple doesn't innovate anymore. They're just waiting for someone else to do it, and then they're just gonna swoop in at the end and just give their little touch on it, you know, sprinkle some salt on it and be like, oh yeah, we invented this, the next best thing, a fingerprint sensor that you can use your PP to unlock your device with. Cool. Wow. Which I'm actually surprised that they haven't tried to innovate on fingerprint sensors yet. Anyway, so yeah, in terms of this device, it's just an improvement over the previous one, faster processor, all that stuff. And additionally, actually gonna mention, it does come with that camera button, which I think the previous version of the lowest end device didn't. So we do have it right here, which is pretty nice. Now, so yeah, about $800 for a honestly pretty decent device. And I want to point out one thing, talk about something which some people might find useful if you haven't heard yet. But if you're a Android user that is, let's just say, a little bit more advanced, you're not just using Play Store, this actually might become a alternative to your new device, meaning like Android ones, because Android is basically trying to become Apple, locking down their ecosystem with a quotation mark claims that they're gonna improve the security. Yeah, bullshit. You can do that by, I don't know, implementing some antivirus and not actually just blocking me from doing whatever I want on a system. So at that point, they're actually doing what Apple is doing, and Apple is needing to undo what they're doing because European Union is just completely trying to shove them up the from behind with monopolistic behavior. So they're getting punished for that, and they're literally forced to unlock it or continue pay fines. And Android is now basically going like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. Let's lock our system. What could possibly go wrong with just being in constant legal battles? So, in any case, the reason I'm pointing that out is because soon enough, Android will basically be the same thing as iPhone with a little difference. The only difference is that it won't be Apple, and the cameras, if you're for instance using something like Samsung, will be much shittier than what Apple actually offers. This phone for a flagship is a pathetic excuse of a good camera system. It's absolutely horrendous. An iPhone from a 2020, maybe 22 max. I think it was like iPhone 13. outperforms this in everything. For God's sakes, it's a like 3 to 4 year old phone that captures better videos in low light than this piece of shit. What are we doing here? So with that in mind, you might as well pick an iPhone that can give you, for the same price, much better camera, not effects, but camera results, and it's still locked down, with possibility of not being locked down in the future, which is just comical. So yeah, just pointing that out because it might be useful to some people as information. Now that will be more something that is going to be happening in 2026, not just yet, but it is going to be happening apparently. So if you're thinking about a new phone, iPhone actually might be a better option soon enough. Now with that being said, hopefully you found this very helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.